Today, we're going to dive deep into an archetype that is just so incredibly relevant right now, especially in our high-pressure world. It's a character portrait from homeopathy known as Nux Vomica. But honestly, you don't need to know a thing about that to recognize this person. It's really a story about ambition, about intensity, and about the price you pay for it.
So when you hear the name Nux Vomica, this is the kind of image that should pop into your head. We're talking about the hard-charging CEO, the boss who rules with an iron fist, the classic workaholic. It's that quintessential type A personality we all know, someone who is just intensely driven and hyper-focused on success.
And that right there is the first face of Nux Vomica. See, this isn't just someone who enjoys success. They are fueled by what's called an ardent character. They have this zealous, enthusiastic fire in their belly that just pushes them to conquer whatever they set their mind to.
And their ambition? Oh, it's absolutely relentless. They're not just running the race, they are dead set on being at the front of the pack. They have to be the best doctor, the top lawyer, the most successful entrepreneur. They see the mountaintop, and every fiber of their being is dedicated to getting there.
Now, with that kind of ambition comes a whole lot of impatience. I mean, there's this constant sense of being in a hurry. They genuinely believe that time is money, and they just cannot stand delays. Doesn't matter if it's waiting for a business deal to close or for a cold to get better, they want it done like yesterday. They're the kind of person who would offer to pay double just to be seen by the doctor first.
All that intensity has to go somewhere, right? Well, it usually boils over into being incredibly irritable. They get angry really easily, especially when things don't go according to their meticulously crafted plans. For them, an interruption isn't just a minor annoyance, it's infuriating. And if you contradict them, that's not a debate, that's a personal attack.
You also see this drive come out as this fastidious, perfectionistic nature, especially with their work. Their desk has to be perfectly organized, their files in perfect order, because any kind of chaos is just an obstacle to getting things done. And this perfectionism makes them super critical. They're constantly finding fault with anyone working under them who doesn't meet their insanely high standards.
And this quote just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? It perfectly captures the paradox of this personality. They can be absolute titans in their field, achieving incredible things. But that authoritarian, impatient, critical side of them makes them really, really difficult to be around. They're often respected, maybe even feared, but they're not often liked. So you have to wonder, what keeps an engine like this running at full blast all the time? Well, it's a very specific and very modern kind of high-octane lifestyle.
Their life is this relentless cycle. It kicks off with long, intense hours of mental work, chained to a desk, not a lot of physical exercise. To keep that pace, they lean heavily on stimulants like coffee and tobacco. And then to unwind from all that stress, they indulge. We're talking rich, spicy foods, alcohol, wine. It's a life of extremes, extreme work, followed by extreme indulgence.
But as you can probably guess, you can only run that hot for so long before things start to break down. Eventually, the whole system just hits a breaking point, and the body and mind start to rebel against all that constant pressure.
So the path to burnout starts with that constant state of overwork. That leads to this state of extreme oversensitivity. And I don't just mean emotionally, where any little comment offends them. I mean physically too. They can't stand strong smells, bright lights, or loud noises. And then, the body itself starts to revolt, with the digestive and nervous systems taking the biggest hit. Okay, one of the most classic physical symptoms of this rebellion is something called ineffectual urging. It's this constant, super frustrating feeling that you have to go to the bathroom, but then nothing happens. It's actually the perfect physical metaphor for their entire mental state, right? A huge urge to achieve, to produce, to get it done, but it's just met with frustration and blockage. The drive is there, but the result isn't.
And the rebellion shows up in other ways too. They get this classic insomnia, where they wake up at 3 or 4 in the morning, their mind just racing about work, and they can't get back to sleep. They become extremely chilly, always cold, always trying to get warm, and their whole system, just wrecked by stimulants and rich food, gives in to nausea, cramping, indigestion, and these awful headaches.
And this is where the story gets really fascinating. This whole physical and mental breakdown leads to the confident, powerful archetype completely crumbling and revealing a second, hidden, and totally opposite face.
Yeah, after pushing way past their breaking point, this person can literally flip into their opposite state. The leader who was once courageous and decisive becomes timid and hesitant.
The taskmaster who lived by do it now becomes a total procrastinator. The supremely confident person is now just riddled with self-doubt and fear. It is a complete and shocking transformation. In this burnout state, everything that wants to find them is just gone. They lose all their ambition and become lazy, putting off tasks for tomorrow and then the next day. They get consumed by anxiety about their business failing, about their health, about the future. The fearless leader is now terrified of making mistakes, and they become shy and startle easily. They might even think about ending it all, but in this state of fear, they're ultimately too afraid even to do that.
But let's zoom out for a second, because this isn't just a portrait of one specific kind of person. What we're really looking at is a broader pattern of overreactivity that can actually affect any of us. When you look at the whole picture, from the ambitious drive all the way to the irritable burnout, it all comes from one central theme: urgency. It's that constant feeling that something vital needs to be done right now. And that state of perpetual urgency is what leads to being overstressed and oversensitive, the very seeds of the whole breakdown.
And what's interesting is that this pattern of overreaction doesn't just apply to someone's lifelong personality. It can pop up in temporary, acute situations in almost anyone. Think about it: a really bad hangover after a night of overindulgence, or terrible indigestion after way too much rich, spicy food. Even the irritability and intense chilliness you feel when you get the flu, these are all little mini portraits of that same overstressed, oversensitive Nux Vomica state. So ultimately, the story of Nux Vomica is more than just a character sketch. It's a really powerful reflection of modern life. It mirrors the intense pressure we all face to achieve, to be productive, to keep pushing in this world of hustle culture. And it leaves us with a pretty provocative question to think about. In our own lives and in our society, where do we draw the line between healthy ambition and destructive burnout?